There is no better story proving that members of the media are resistance activists for the left than Donald Trump driving his SUV around supporters and waving to them to thank them and show them that he's okay. You see, all throughout this news cycle, journalists and many media outlets have been pumping out psychotic levels of conspiracy garbage. The reflections of Donald Trump on his table don't make sense. How is the pen reflected above the paper? It's so crazy because these people don't understand how reflections work. So here's what we get. BuzzFeed and many other outlets publish really irresponsible stories like this. Trump's doctor revealed he's on a steroid recommended for severe COVID-19. And then everyone started saying, wow, Trump must be really sick. I mean, they wouldn't give him a steroid unless he was really, really sick, or if the doctors thought that he should have it because sometimes people get different medicine. Sure. Okay, so they're screaming that Trump is dying. One dude, this guy, John, I think it was John Cooper, tweeted, he works for Biden, I guess, or he's a Biden supporter. He said, my GOP source says they're really worried and Trump could go either way. Talk about creating a panic. And there are journalists just publishing like endless streams of ridiculous conspiracy. Now, first, Twitter has actually suspended some accounts that were not verified journalists pushing conspiracies. But if you got a blue check mark, y'all okay. You're all good. Okay. Twitter says you're allowed to be conspiracy theorists. So here's what happens. Donald Trump, seeing that the media is endlessly claiming that he's like dying or could die, publishes some videos. He's like, everything's okay. I'm feeling fine. I'm doing a lot of work. What do we get? Donald Trump is secretly editing his videos. The videos were edited. They're cutting out his coughs. Yes. Now they're posting like waveform. We are at Moonland hoaxer level of insanity in our media. I ask of you, please consider sharing this video and subscribing because I think it's important that I show you just how unhinged these journalists are. So when people ask you, well, Donald Trump says the media is fake news. I mean, that's crazy. If you can't trust the media, I'm going to show you can't trust the media. Walter Reed, attending physician, and multiple doctors criticized Trump for putting Secret Service agents' lives at risk by making them drive him around to wave at fans, while experts say his steroid treatment points to severe case of COVID. I love it. The Daily Mail, this is my favorite one, because they're doing both stories in the same article. What is it? Trump is dying and getting a medication for his severe COVID, or he's being criticized for joyriding around. I'd have to imagine if Trump was on his deathbed, he wouldn't be riding around in the presidential motorcade waving at his supporters. But when the media keeps pumping out these ridiculous conspiracies, what does Trump do? He goes for a ride in his SUV. Oh, but the media says, well, why didn't he just prove that he wasn't sick? He doesn't need to do this. Well, he tried. Yeah, you see, Donald Trump started posting videos and photos saying, I'm okay. And what did they do? They started dissecting them and claiming they're fake forgeries. You see the EXIF data on the photo. So for those who are not familiar, photos, media files have information stored in the file you can't see, but you can put it into a program to read the data, like when the photo was taken, when it was modified, when or any additional information, captions, what kind of camera it was. My favorite thing about this is that the desperate attempts to claim that these photos were faked because photos got published and the dates on them were 10 minutes apart. And so now you got all these people saying, does that mean that Donald Trump, put on his suit jacket, took a picture, then got up, ran to another room, and then took another picture 10 minutes later? This proves it. Trump is staging photos. And when I said, there's no conspiracy, dude, calm down. There's no evidence. Stop. I actually had people say, what's so conspiratorial about believing that Trump's doing a photo op? Because it means the journalists are in on it too. Seriously, these people have lost their minds. Okay, I can explain to you the EXIF thing. Here's what I got. I got people saying, no, Tim, you don't understand. The date modified would be, okay, someone took a photo of the president and then photos got released. The photos that got released show that they were created 10 minutes apart. Does that mean that the photos were taken 10 minutes apart? No. It could mean that they were exported or compressed 10 minutes apart. And here's what people don't understand, because now I got people saying, no, Tim, you're wrong. The date modified would be different because the creation is different from the modification. Exporting a file is creating a new file. Seriously, man, I do video rendering and editing all day. If they created a new file, it would have a new date created on it. It is a new file, and they added the information in the day. This is insane. With all of these conspiracies running wild, what could Trump do to make sure that people didn't think he was dying? Get in his vehicle. Oh, now it's the end of the world. Here's the story from the Daily Mail. A doctor at the Walter Reed Medical Center, where Donald Trump is currently being treated, has described the president's decision to go on a drive to wave at supporters as insanity, as other medical experts questioned the assessment that the president could be returning to the White House on Monday and said the scant details of his treatment suggested a serious condition. No, the doctors said they fully intend on releasing him today. Okay, they're like, everything's looking good. The president seems fine. And no matter what they say or do, everyone's like, no. You know what? If it bleeds, it leads. So they would rather lie and pray for the illness to be severe, because then they get more clicks, man. Notice how they like jump away from all of these other stories. One thing that's been happening a lot, and this is some heavy criticism for CNN. When they say, like, you know, we've had a full season's worth of news in only a few days. Yeah, that's because you people are insane. That's because you're jumping from platform to platform, whichever they think will make them the most money. That's the name of the game. Whoa, we got a riot. Jump on it. Click, 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 click. Money, money, money. Then it's Amy Coney Barrett. Oh, no. Jump on it. Trump's sick. Jump on it. Follow through with your own stories. Let me tell you the worst thing about it. They can publish all of this fake news. Like, take a look at this. Trump doctors reveal he's on a steroid for severe COVID-19. Oh, you know, BuzzFeed was drooling when they saw this. They did very little fact checking. They didn't follow up. And sure, it's great. But what's the point of just this rampant and reckless speculation? It's simple. They're going to make money off ads. I use an ad blocker, by the way. They're going to make money off ads. And then if it turns out the story's fake, so what? What are they going to do? They're going to leave it up probably. Now, if they publish overt falsehoods, you know what happens? They can publish fake news, overt fake news, get 1 million views, make all that sweet green. And then as soon as people are like, hey, that's fake news, they go, oopsie, let's issue a correction and retraction. And they keep the money. They're not in the business of telling you the truth. They're in the business of shocking you into giving them traffic. Dr. James Phillips, a Walter Reed attending doctor, condemned the president's Sunday afternoon drive, which violated CDC guidelines. He said it was dangerous and reckless in comments which quickly went viral, gaining more than 100,000 likes and 40,000 retweets. Yes, from resistance lunatics. With Trump's condition still shrouded in confusion, doctors have suggested that the president could return to the White House as early as today. Trump today tried to project an image of business as usual by tweeting about the election, accusing Democrats of planning a massive tax increase and touting the success of the stock market ahead of the November 3rd poll. Okay, Donald Trump went on a tirade this morning. Let me just show you. Will Chamberlain with the absolutely funniest take on this. Dr. James Phillips, the same guy who was like, this is reckless, tweeted this garbage nonsense. I know it's not typical indicator of illness, but I am concerned. The most telling lab value indicating the president's health is the number of tweets in the last 24 hours, almost zero. It's unprecedented, particularly as the election nears. Be wary of mimics from his staff. Okay, this guy's lost all credibility. I, as a doctor, think Donald Trump is sick because he's not tweeting enough. When has that ever been an indicator of anything other than the president isn't tweeting? They're like, well, but Trump likes to tweet. Yeah, he's in the hospital, dude. He's so. Why would Trump not be tweeting? Could it be because he's dying? I guess. Could it be because he went to the hospital because he has COVID and he's working? Yes. He's not around. Maybe. Look, when Trump tweets, he has staff for this stuff. So probably what happens is Trump's not around. And so the people who manage, I think Dan Scavino manages his social media. People think Trump's sitting there typing everything on himself by himself. Sometimes probably, but most of these politicians don't do this. Trump might look over at Dan and be like, tweet this. I'm going to tell you, tweet this. That's it. Trump might tweet it himself. Dan probably tweets some stuff. There's probably other people who work for him or tweet. And now Trump's in the hospital. So things have kind of paused. So when a doctor comes out and says Trump's tweets are indicative of his health, Ignore everything that doctor says. Well, here's what we saw from Trump this morning. Donald J. Trump, Space Force, vote. Okay. Best VA ever, vote. 401k, vote. Trump went on a Twitter tirade for all of these reasons, all caps, exclamation points, vote. So, making the apt joke, Will Chamberlain, if the guy's saying, if Dr. James Phillips is saying Trump not tweeting shows that he's sick, then Will's insinuating that Trump tweeting like crazy proves he's cured and healthier than ever, right? I mean, the inverse must be true. If Trump starts tweeting up a storm, surely he's healthy. So you get these crazy stories. But let me show you this. Take a look at this from Marcy Wheeler. Marcy Wheeler, Empty Wheel on Twitter, has 236,000 followers. Take a look at this. She said, I can't stop staring at this reflection. Oh, no. 1,000 retweets. And what is the image? There's a reflection of the top of Donald Trump's wrist, but there's a book in front. There's a binder. There you go. I was going to call it Trapper Keeper. And no, I'm maybe too old or too young, whatever. There's a binder in front of Donald Trump's hand. So how is that possible? How could there be a reflection? It's called an angle. Have these people never looked in a mirror before? Check this out. She says, here's the still compared to a screen cap of video. Clearly different lighting, so it's hard to tell, different angle. The light was still taken with no flash, but there's obviously a ton of studio lighting in here for the video. I genuinely don't know one way or another. Obviously, everything is staged and all the same props in both. Oh, geez, man. Ultimately, the reflections don't matter one way or another. You have to get no further than the blank piece of paper to conclude it was an amateurish staging. How much of it was, short of lying about the video being real, doesn't matter. Blank paper. They don't understand how photos work because the lighting on say Donald Trump's jacket is dark and the paper is white. What happens is the photo light balance will be for the more darker image, depending on how the photographer took the photo, and it will make the paper look blown out. That's the phrase, blown out. That's what we call it, okay? What that means is the white paper will just look like a white blotch. Now you can see a little bit of what Donald Trump is signing with this marker because he's using a dark marker with thick writing as opposed to tiny text, which is going to be blown out. In fact, I am not exaggerating when I say this is literally one of the moon landing hoax arguments. Seriously. So in some of the photos from the moon, okay, there's no stars. And they're like, that proves it. No, it doesn't. If they were trying to stage this, wouldn't they put fake stars up? No, because the issue is stars do not come out well on cameras. People don't understand the human eye is better than a camera. Have you ever looked at something and go, wow, that looks amazing? Pulled up your phone and then you're like, that looks terrible. I remember I was looking at something like I'm looking at the moon and there's this beautiful corona around it. And I'm like, wow. And I point my camera at it and it was a little blotch. And I'm like, that looks awful. It doesn't look anything like what I see. You need really good special cameras set up in specific ways with certain zoom and all that stuff to make sure that, your photos are done right. As for the camera on the moon, they weren't trying to dim the light to get the stars in the sky. They were trying to put up lights in front of the astronauts to show it. And so what happens is all these conspiracy theorists are like, there's no stars. You know what light pollution is? Have you noticed that when you're in a city, you can't see stars? Hey, I wonder what's causing that. And your eyes are really good. I mean, relative to our current level of technology, but we do have really good cameras like gigapixel stuff. That's cool. So here you have the exact same conspiracy theory. I can't see what's on the paper, therefore the paper is blank. One more point about staging. What we have are two stills. If the metadata can be believed, they were taken 10 minutes apart. Oh, these people are insane. This is a journalist. These are journalists. Look at this. Andrew Feinberg says, this all feels a bit forced, as if someone is trying to approximate the president as at his most manic, but it's not quite there. Claiming that Trump isn't actually tweeting any of this stuff. When Trump tweets erratic nonsense, they're like, Trump's tweeting erratic nonsense. And then when Trump is sick and tweets erratic nonsense, they're like, this certainly couldn't be Trump because Trump is dying. You just saw him driving around an SUV. What makes you think he can't tweet? You're criticizing him for being, I'm just so over this, man. I love this. I love this one. This is the best one. So Vox.com. Bravo, guys. Bravo, you crackpot lunatics. Aaron Rupar of Vox says, whatever happens when Trump says therapeutics, here is a strange moment in the video he posted this evening. Nothing happens. I don't even know what he's talking about. There's a video clip where Trump says therapeutics, and then there's like Trump hiccups, maybe. I don't know. Andrew Feinberg says, the White House is editing video to remove coughs. Why wouldn't they just film a new video? Oh, it's so absurd. They think that they're going to put out a clip of the president. It's only a couple minutes long. And they're going to go through and edit out his coughs instead of saying, let's do another take. That's how insane these people are. Let's say Trump is coughing. Oh, I'm so sick. Okay. Clearly, in this video, he talks for several minutes, and there's only a few moments where they claim editing occurs. In fact, one particular moment. Why wouldn't they just be like, let's just do another one? Because if you can cough only one time in 4 minutes, you can not cough. It really does seem like maybe Trump was going to cough and then he like held it and like didn't cough. Here's the best. Alex Plank, who is this guy? Verified, founder of Wrong Planet, actor, writer, says, yup, the top is the original audio's waveform. I've applied amplification to get the bottom waveform. You can clearly see where the editing occurred. Yes, because you boosted the gain. This is so stupid. You can't. Okay. I've been working with audio files and video editing since I was like 13 or 14. I used to make skate videos. I've been making documentaries. I record all of this. When I look at this, and I'm not an audio engineer or anything like that, I don't see anything. I really don't. I see a dude who boosted the gain. That's it. There's nothing to take away from this. But he's claiming this is proof. Look, here's the top and here's the bottom. And is he implying that this line cutoff where he boosted the gain and then this line cutoff where he boosted the gain again implies they edited any video? These people live in some kind of paranoid delusional reality. Check this out. This one's the best. How can the Sharpie be reflected underneath the blank paper? These people don't understand how light works. And yet they tell us all day, every day that the orange man is bad. This is why I said early on, please consider sharing this video so that you can see these journalists are crackpot, moon hoax level crazy. Just absolutely insane. Full on psychotic. Here's a good one. Lena Wen, MD, says, if real Donald Trump were my patient in unstable condition, plus contagious illness, and he suddenly left the hospital to go for a car ride that endangers himself and others, I'd call security to restrain him, then perform a psychiatric evaluation to examine his decision-making capacity. 80,000 retweets. No, you wouldn't. That would never happen. Somebody's in the hospital and they've got an illness with like a 99.5% survivability rate for the average person, and they decide to leave. The doctor would be like, okay, that's it. That's it. Now, I understand we're dealing with COVID and people are much more concerned about this because of the lingering effects of COVID and because a lot of people have died. A lot of people die of a lot of illnesses, however, so it's hard to really gauge this beyond anything else when the numbers show that like survivability is like 99.95 for people under the age of like 55 or something. For older people above 70, I think it's like 95%. And like that's really good for, people over 70 or over their 70s or whatever. I think it's 74 actually. No, you would not call security and restrain someone because they had an illness. Now, you can see what she does here. This is amazing. Now, look, she's not a journalist, but I'm going to criticize this garbage resistance nonsense nonetheless. Unstable condition. Donald Trump isn't unstable. You see the game being played here? Donald Trump is fine. They said they want to release him today. Now, they've given us some bunk information. I absolutely will accept that, and I think they're trying to prevent this panic. They don't want people to think that Trump is dying or anything. So when asked if they gave him oxygen, they played coy, and it was very obvious, and then later admitted it. But Trump's talking on camera, and he's driving around. He seems to be fine, and he's tweeting like a lunatic. So, okay. Here's what they do. It's a loaded statement. It's a trick. If my president was secretly, a serial killer who was beating, penguins and baby seals, well then, I'd call for his arrest. As if to imply Trump did any of those things. Trump is not in unstable condition, though he does have a contagious illness. And he suddenly left the hospital in a hermetically sealed vehicle that is bulletproof. The only people who were put at risk were his Secret Service drivers. By all means, you want to criticize him for that. I get it. But think about the risk on the other hand. The stock market is going up based on the information that Trump is doing well. If Trump didn't come out, and if these conspiracy theories from these journalists keep running wild, then it's going to be bad for everyone else. The president needs to have this, needs to appear strong at all times. And that means we're probably going to get misinformation and disinformation. And we'll fight that. We will, like with the doctors. But this is just, there are people tweeting about the polling, that the polling was wrong in 2016, and people have really taken this. They've re-remembered, they've reimagined what happened in 2016. The pundits were wrong, the forecast models were wrong, and the polls were only a little bit wrong. The polls undercounted the white working class vote, and Trump got 77,000 votes in a few swing states that won him the Electoral College overall. That wasn't a big swing for Trump. In fact, he lost the popular vote, mostly because of California and New York. The polls were not completely incorrect. They were just off a little bit. Forecast models were wrong. Now we're seeing the same forecast models, like almost the same. I'd like to believe that regular people can see through all of this unhinged paranoia, but I'm not entirely convinced. I mean, Joe Biden's polling really, really well. And you can say the polls are wrong, and I've said it before, and I don't know which ones to trust because the swing is ridiculous. But I have to look at something like this. Cassandra Fairbanks tweets responding to James Fallows. Fallows is, I guess he's just a writer or something. I don't know. Got almost 200,000 followers. He says it's only those Americans who have foregone weddings, birthdays, funerals, reunions, vacations, graduations, anniversaries, conferences, visits, etc. through this avoidable disaster, who might possibly begrudge the rules are for little people moments. Mocking the White House for having small gatherings without social distancing or masks. Cassandra Fairbanks then posted images of all the protests and all the riots. But I'll tell you what, in an election, especially with a news cycle like this, a month is a year, a week is a year. Will people remember that hundreds of thousands, nay, millions of Black Lives Matter and far leftists marched around creating super spreader events, exacerbating the problem of COVID? Will they remember that when the media comes out and blames Trump for having one event with Amy Coney Barrett? More importantly, we don't even know if that was the real event that got Trump sick. It very well may have been the debates, but it seems more likely it was Amy Coney Barrett's special event, the nomination event, I suppose, simply because the incubation period. But it could have been the debates, 2 to 3 day incubation period. Typically, they say it averages a little bit longer, but many end up only around 2 to 3 days. It's because some people don't get sick for like a few weeks that it stretches the average out a little bit longer. I wonder if Americans will remember this. I hope they do, because I'm sifting through what I can only describe as refuse from the media, and I only pulled up a small sampling of this absolute psychotic behavior. So I please, subscribe, share, and show people what the journalists are saying. They don't understand how reflections work. I'm sorry, man, you can't trust them. Not every journalist, but if these news outlets aren't going to put these people in check and fire them when they put out unhinged moon landing hoax conspiracy level BS, then why should I believe anything they're putting out? Well, sorry, I don't know what to tell you, but I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.